The Lord be with you. For many years, Sir Walter Scott was the leading literary figure in the British Empire. No one could write as well as he. Then the works of Lord Byron began to appear, and their greatness was immediately evident. Soon an anonymous critic praised his poems in a London paper. He declared that in the presence of these brilliant works of poetic genius, Sir Walter Scott could no longer be considered the leading poet of England. It was later discovered that the unnamed reviewer had been none other than Sir Walter Scott himself. Humility seems to be a dying virtue. It is certainly a ridiculed virtue. People misinterpret humility as weakness, as allowing people to walk all over you, as allowing yourself to be used as a doormat, as not standing up for yourself. My experience has taught me, however, that humility requires enormous inner strength. Frederick Buechner wrote in The Magnificent Defeat, quote, "The love for equals is a human thing, a friend for friend, brother for brother, sister for sister. It is to love what is loving and lovely. The world smiles. The love for the less fortunate is a beautiful thing. The love for those who suffer, for those who are poor, for the sick, the failures, the unlovely. This is compassion, and it touches the heart of the world. The love for the more fortunate is a rare thing. To love those who succeed where we fail, to rejoice without envy with those who rejoice, the love of the poor for the rich, of the black man for the white man. The world is always bewildered by its saints. And then there is love for the enemy, love for the one who does not love you, but mocks, threatens, and inflicts pain. The tortured's love for the torturer. This is God's love. It conquers the world." Unquote. What conviction did it take for Jesus to leave the power and glory of heaven to be born a helpless, dependent baby? That is humility. What dedication did it take for Jesus to allow himself to be mocked and humiliated and hurt by human hands? Is that not humility? What committed sacrificial love was required for Jesus to let spikes be pounded through his hands and feet, to hang on a cross until dead, a sinless man dying a sinner's death? That is humility, and I doubt anyone would call it weakness. This is God's love. It conquers the world. In a world of hate, envy, and anger, such humility sticks out like a healthy thumb. I have discovered that humility is a quality essential to my life. If I ever begin to think more highly of myself than I ought, it is then that trouble finds me and I find trouble. Humility required. John Wesley our beloved founder of Methodism, provided the most convicting and convincing description of a true servant. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you can. Humility required. Everywhere I look, I find people who are struggling to show the world that they won't be pushed around, that they are strong. Don't mess with Texas or with me. And you and I have chosen to follow a gospel which says that when we are weak, it is then that we are strong. Humility required. You see, humility is not thinking less of ourselves. Humility is thinking of others more. Humility does not mean we live to please others. Humility means we live to please God. The Pharisees lorded over the people. Jesus knelt and washed his disciples' feet. How easy do you imagine it was for the King of Kings to do the job of a slave? Humility required. Walking in a spirit of humility is one of the hardest things I know to do. Turning the other cheek, walking the extra mile, surrendering your cloak to a thief, keeping your anger in check, rejoicing in the blessings and abilities of others, forgiving someone who has hurt you deeply. Humility required. I do humbly thank you for listening. Amen.